um, our
Oh,
April 21st board meeting. We're so grateful to have everyone here.
Recording in progress.
sorry. There we go.
We have Sarah and Christian, Carrie, Lisa, myself, and Carol Gregory, the director for Azure Fields Charter High School. We want to begin with our verse, so I'll read it. If everyone can just listen, we'll start with our verse for America. May our feeling penetrate into the center of our heart and seek in love to unite itself with human beings seeking the same goal, and with spirit beings who, bearing grace, strengthening us from the realms of light and illuminating our love, are gazing down upon our earnest, heartfelt strivings. Rudolf Steiner. And I will turn the time over now to Christian Swenson, who has a Steiner study for us.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I was asked to talk today, if I remember correctly, Susan, about the intersection between curative education and a Waldorf concept and teenagers, basically, the adolescent phase.
Mhm.
And because you said you hadn't been able to find much about that. I couldn't find much about it either, to be honest. I did a lot of searching. In fact, this is a gap. This is a gap that Steiner, that people have talked about, that a lot of the curative work describes children, and not a lot of it describes teenagers. But given that, what I wanted to kind of bring up is I want to help us understand what the developmental task of the teenager is, according to Waldorf pedagogy. For him, there are three 7-year phases, as you know, right? That the first 7 years, according to him, is a state in which children, like my 2-year-old daughter Mackenzie, imitate. They perceive through imitation. You know, they're looking at dad over here, and dad is nailing something into the wall, so she does it too, right? If she sees you on your phone, she's on her phone too. Or on your phone, because the 7-year-old child wants to learn. The young child wants to learn from the adult through activity, through movement. But at around age 7, the child learns through authority. And for the next 7 years, according to him, the teacher and parent is supposed to act like a representation of the truth of the world, the way the world is, in a way that the child can understand, in other words, through images. My sense is that the teacher at that stage is supposed to be a host for the world, something that embodies the solidity and strength of truth and shares it with the others, with the students, as a way of teaching them to inhabit that true world. Again, it's a translation from truth into feeling, from truth into beauty. But then the more interesting thing is the stage from 7 to 14, which is when suddenly a child learns through truth, right? And what happens when you turn 14, according to this model, is that you suddenly see that the world isn't a story, right? There's a sense in which when you turn 14, you stop seeing the world in terms of images and symbols. You stop being as immersed in it. You stop seeing it as a beautiful thing, and all of a sudden you think, some of these adults don't know what they're talking about, right? The structures around me, there's something behind them that I can't really see until I turn 14. It's like, adults are kind of stupid, but not in the way I thought earlier. Sometimes they actually don't know what they're doing. And I think I know better, says the teenager. I have a better imagination of what could happen. And they might be right, all the great innovators were once teenagers, right? But it's the it's the responsibility of the high school teacher to honor that impulse, to honor their rebellion, to honor their dream for the world, and to help them hone it in ways that will help them thrive when they are directing themselves, when at age 21 they take hold of themselves in a new way. That's my sense. And so it's very important to let an adolescent of this stage that we're teaching to start to see the world in their own way. Because, you know, we are how we see. And if we honor how they see, we help them become who they are. That's what I'd say. That's a little spiel. I'm
I
wondering.
like your spiel.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I walk along UC Berkeley a lot. When I'm in California. I'm not in California now, and there's a bunch of college students there all the time. Because you know it's UC Berkeley, and like freshmen and sophomores, and I don't know. I feel like they embody an energy that we often too often dismiss, and I think there's something really valuable there. That's what I'm saying. Any thoughts or questions or suggestions or connections?
I thought it was interesting when you said that they look at adults and think, I know a better way. Well, sometimes they do. Guess what? Sometimes they do. And you have to say, well, you might. You just might know better. So don't dismiss that. You know, it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. We don't have all the answers.
How do you think you should handle when, I'm wondering what you think about this, Carol, when a teenager challenges the teacher intellectually or morally? Like if there's a lesson, what do you think what do you think is the right thing to do?
Let me step back into the classroom for a minute.
But
Sorry,
I
I'm
mean,
really far removed from the things that I've been thinking about lately.
yeah.
It's important to validate where they're coming from and have a humility and creating an environment of discourse. You know, we as we were preparing for the high school and working on preparing our teachers, we talk about, you know, having clear expectations, but also bringing things in a balanced and an appropriate way. And I think if when you are approaching the curriculum in the correct way to begin with like the high schooler should never know exactly how I feel about this topic. They need to know that I'm here to bring topics to them for their experience and to bring multiple balanced views, that there is always somebody's perspective in the narrative of history and the experiences that we have. And so when the class is structured in that way, there's less opportunity, I would say, for a student to say, well, that isn't completely true, right? Or like to challenge me as an authority. If I'm presenting my own personal views, yeah, that's open all the time for like, what makes you so right? And you get that kind of disciplinary thing. But if you're bringing the curriculum in a way that explores and values multiple perspectives, when the student brings that new perspective, that's folded into what we're doing anyway and isn't a power struggle.
It's like instead of the teenager asking you what makes you so right, you're asking yourself what makes me so right. In other words, you have intellectual.
And we're it's not even asking me what makes me so right, but it's looking at the content and saying what makes this right or not, and why do I value this person's perspective over this person's perspective? What can I learn from the differences in addition to the similarities in the perspectives? And is there a perspective I don't know about yet in this discourse? Because there's rarely just two. What are some of the other marginalized perspectives? And so when you create that culture in the way that we bring the information, it helps empower the students to discover for themselves without the power play of you're the adult and you can't be right.
That's really cool. Thank you, Carol. I think I'm out of time. That's my felt sense. Thank you. And I appreciate your presence and I appreciate your sincerity. Thank you.
I just have to add that I think this is why there are so many homeschooling parents that are like, I can't do this anymore when they hit this age. because this just describes my life so well, of just my 14-year-old being like, you can't be right, mom, no matter what no matter what it is. And it just is wearing as a parent to do that all day long with all the school stuff, and then to do that with your normal parenting roles. And I think that's a good thing for us to recognize, and why I think all of you are amazing to do it in school. But like, that is one of the reasons why we will pull homeschool families, is because it gets exhausting for parents to do that when they hit this age. That's all.
Lisa, you might have to speak up. Your volume's not coming through very much. I don't know that your microphone is
I
on.
can't
You're
hear
not
you.
muted.
Yeah.
You're not muted, but I don't hear your microphone on.
You might need to change the microphone settings, like which microphone it's coming from. Because maybe it's coming from some microphone you don't realize is plugged in somewhere else, or that's happened to me before.
No, we can't hear you. Do you want to put it in the chat?
Can I add to what Carrie said then?
Hmm?
I was just talking to a friend of mine, and we were discussing there are things that were my grandparents' generation or my great grandparents' generation that we don't do now. And we were discussing, what was it going to be for us when we're older? What is it going to be that we are the old ones that are out of touch, that our kids are going to change the rules on? And not that we're bad, or our parents are bad, or our grandparents are bad, but I think it's good that sometimes, not always, but sometimes we are wrong. And we allow our kids to be like, I'm not sure how you feel about that, or how I feel about that. Because it's good not just for them or for the society at large, but for our growth as well. And I would agree with you, Carrie, it's really hard to look at that sometimes when you're trying to raise teenagers too, and try and see the places where you're missing.
I think this
Yes,
is
totally.
oh, sorry. I think this is oh,
Go ahead, please.
sorry. No, I think this is a particular problem in Utah County, because there's a sense in which the local culture values families so much that independence from the family unit can sometimes be, seen as threatening a dominant paradigm, even if it's not thought of that consciously. And so I wonder if one of the things we can do at the school to kind of help with to work with that culture is to value the impulse to rebel in a healthy sense, right? In a way that, yeah, that's my sense, because that is important.
Can I ask if the Socratic method will help the students with that? You know, isn't it welcome challenge and outside the box thinking?
Yeah, creating them a space to contribute to the discourse and challenge their thinking and take a side that they're not predisposed for. Gives them good skills for making those decisions. And I think it's important to have conversations with the parents that, our goal is to empower students to be successful in life and to make powerful decisions about where they want to go in their life by providing with them a solid foundation. We're not here to undermine the parents. We're here to help the parents empower their students.
Well, and the goal is to raise children that are better than us, right? So I think that's important for parents to remember. But one of the main reasons why I'm not putting my kids in public school is because I don't want their teachers forcing their views on them. And so I love what Carol said about the students should not know what side of especially like a polarized topic, a teacher's on. They should be presented the information. Teachers are not meant to, indoctrinate children. So I love the way that Carol said that they shouldn't know where you stand.
And the point is not rebellion. The point is to be thoughtful and think about the issues related to a topic. So in history, you have the different perspectives, and if a student were to bring up his own or her own perspective, here's what I see usually in high school, that they've heard these things from other people. It's not really their own perspective yet. So what you're trying, you may incorporate what they say to you, as so, well, let's write that down as part of our thought process and what we'll think about this issue also. But you don't want to promote a 14-year-old's perspective on everything because it's usually very shallow and just something they may have heard from others. So again, I think, we don't want a political perspective. We don't want to have, we just want to present the history and the humanities from the perspective of people themselves, because remember, we follow biographies. So we want the famous people that we teach about, we want their ideas presented to the students. And we want everything to come together in the student's mind in a way that is their own. But we want to present the perspectives that we think are valuable and important. That's the whole point of Waldorf education. It's not just independent thinking like in a Montessori setting. We actually present something, a curriculum that we believe is important to teach. And of course, the state has its curriculum to teach for us to teach in a high school setting. And then we'll take the students, we can take the students' ideas into interplay with the rest of the curriculum we teach. But remember, I talked about the philosophical framework where you start with an idea or a metaphor surrounding your topic, and then you teach all of the important stories and aspects of that teaching, and then you break things apart for a time and analyze ideas. Then you bring everything together again in some way at the end to make a presentation, so that you're united again at the end in a type of, important idea again that you're presenting. We don't just keep everything as a fragmented, disconnected, presentation, like everyone is just lost as to what we feel are important values and ideas that are part of the lesson. So that's
Lisa put in the chat that the teenager wants to know that the teacher is an expert in their field.
yes, that's
and
right.
that brings in respect. So we make sure that we do know the information and the facts, and can present the information well. And being an expert also removes our personal biases. And so at the same time, students' ideas have room to grow.
I think that means a teacher needs to show off a bit on the first day.
I think that doesn't hurt at all. To show that they really know something about the topic they're teaching. Yes, that's right. So that's, there's still a little bit of authority that you present to the classroom. We better move forward just a little bit. I did write some ideas I found about curative education, because it's something we don't usually think about as teachers, because we have experts that work in that area in Waldorf special education circles. But there was a concept I really loved. This is just, again, everything about Waldorf education kind of just surprises me and enlightens me. And I just want to read one of the core philosophies about. So think about this as special education for the teenager, for students that are struggling in many various ways. The unharmed core, the idea that a child has and operates on the belief that every person has an intact spiritual core or individuality that is never disabled regardless of physical or mental limitations. And I just believe in this so wholeheartedly, that every child has a core of their spirit and of their being that is whole and healthy, unharmed. And I really think we can find that through a couple of things. But one of the things that our school is going to be the best at, if you look at the key methods for working with the students that are struggling, it is rhythmic living, having a good rhythm in their lives and their daily schedule. So we can adjust schedules for students in our school to a healthy rhythm for them. It's doing artistic therapies like music, painting, drama, and other kinds of things which our school incorporates. It's doing crafts and manual work, skills like weaving, woodwork, and gardening. And then also self-development, working constantly with their inner development, humor, encourage and healing presence of the child themselves. And so you set up a beautiful rhythm for the child in curative education, and also set up things they can be successful in, cooking, gardening, all these things that our school's going to incorporate will be healthy for every child, but also for the child that is struggling in any way with needs that are a little harder to meet. But our school's set up to meet those needs beautifully, I think. So that's why I just wanted to share that before we move on. All right, and then I'm going to share again. Sorry, everybody. Our board capacity building tonight is about a chapter in the Charter School Board University book. And it has to do with setting up an orientation process for our new board members. And we have not really had this. We've got to work to build this. So I have a PowerPoint I wanted to show, and I'll try to go through it as quickly as I can, about having a booklet for all our new members and what should be in that. So this is what the Charter University book says that should be in an orientation binder for our new board members. So, and for all of you also, we should have one for you that we create. So if you could put that on the screen for us to see, Carol.
Yeah, let me find the right one. Let's see. Sorry, let me share the right. Sorry about that. Let's see. It's not giving me the right option to share the right screen, so give me just a second. And we close some of the other windows and see if that will help. There it is. Okay.
Okay. All right. So in the Board University, it's booklet or book. It says that each board member should start with a booklet that they receive. So the orientation booklet should come to them as they're starting their work in the board. The first thing is they should have a contact list with the names, phone numbers, and email addresses of everyone on the board and the executive director, current board members, and their offices held, and also their term expiration dates. We should all be able to see those for each other, so that we know, when someone will be moving out of the board and coming in. Then the next one is the school's articles of incorporation and bylaws. These two documents form the legal basis for the existence of the school. The bylaws should indicate the date they were adopted by the board and a signature signifying they are official. And then third, the school charter. This is a performance contract between the board and the authorizer. It is time limited, usually for 3 to 5 years. I don't know, does ours have a time limit, Carol? Our charter?
Yeah, we go up for review every 3 to 5 years.
Okay. It contains the outcomes the school is required to produce and usually some limits within which the outcomes are to occur. And then the fourth thing should be like a little tab for the names and contact information of the board's attorney, which I don't know if we've hired a certain attorney yet. Have we done that, Carol?
Yeah, we did that several months ago.
Okay.
Chris Jorgensen on just an hourly basis.
Okay. So a letter of agreement, maybe, it should say just agreement, not agreement, stating the terms of the employment and his job description. So that's something that should be in the binder also. If your board has hired documents governing the board's formal arrangement with an executive director, so if your board has hired, which we have, an executive director, there should be a letter or agreement page stating the terms of employment and the job description there. And we should have a section of board member job descriptions, which we've already created that. So we should have that in a binder though for our members. And a summary also, the data of the school's performance on the most recent round of state testing, which we don't have yet, but we will have in the coming years. And we need to know the percentage of the kids in our school that are at or above grade level in core subjects. Okay, and then board minutes from the previous 6 months. These tell what the board has been talking about in all its meetings for the last 6 months. They said we should have a certificate of insurance for directors or officer liability. Carol, have you talked to us about, does our state have liability for board members?
I think Shannon probably knows more about that than I do. It's one of the things that's on our list to talk about with it.
To work through. So there's
As we
a,
get ready.
what's that?
In our readiness to open, this is one of the things that we have to do.
Okay. I thought it was Shannon. You are assuming a tremendous liability when you agree to serve as a board member. The decisions your board makes or fails to make can adversely affect students, employees, and others. As such, there's always a high risk of being sued. Some state indemnity of the board if you can prove that it's a reasonable decision. It's recommended that you have the school carries insurance to protect personnel assets of their directors and officers. So this is just something we need to get together in time and put in a board.
Susan, Jeff has joined our meeting and said that he can also speak to that.
Oh, great. Jeff, would you speak to that for a minute?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to just jump in there. So there's a couple of different ways you can get insurance. One is through the state's risk management policy. Those applications are it's a little bit harder your startup year to get that. So that timeline has already passed. It was last December in order to get signed up for this coming year.
Okay.
But without knowledge of our building and things like that, it was just kind of a hard thing to do, which is typical for a lot of schools. So we will need to get a third-party insurance, at least for your startup year. There is an agent, his name's Jeff Hurst with American Insurance that he writes a lot of charter school policies. I shouldn't say he writes them, but he bids them out and helps get insurance for a lot of charter schools. It's not the easiest industry to get insurance for, and so it's kind of nice having someone who knows it. So we can reach out to him and get that put in place, but we'll need liability insurance, property insurance, cyber insurance, and a few different things. So he'll help us get set up with all of those things for next year.
Great. These are just things they mentioned, so we'll try to work towards this for next year. And then 10 most recent financial statements and audit reports. Again, we don't really have official. We have some reports we could put in there now about the beginning opening of the school, but this is just one of the items they recommended. Copies of all debt instruments. So the school board members should be able to see who were receiving monies from in loans and interest rates, etc. Okay. Number 12, board policy manual. I know that have we finished that, Carol, yet? Our policy manual, or are we still working on that now?
As far as the board policies, I think we have most of them done. There might be a few others that we still need to address the grievance policy and a few other things. But we had a lot of it mostly done.
That's
The
what I
board
thought.
policy manual is different from the student handbook and the teacher handbook, and then we have the policy manual. So there's multiple things that kind of do a similar, and we've been talking as a office staff about an efficient way of putting those things together that they can all be linked to the core policies, and for efficiency and unity between all of our things. So
I think that would be good
solving
to
that.
have like a comprehensive policy manual. I think that would be good. Unless there are some specific things that related to the board but we should have a copy of that for our board members when they come in. And then 13, let's see. Oh, I guess that's all. So my thought is we may need to have, I mean, I hate to put more on your plate, Carol, but we may need to have you and the Tanya work on putting together manuals like this, because I think you have most of the documents and most of the things there in the office with you. And then if we could give one manual with sections for each of these things to board members, and then keep maybe 6 on hand for others coming in that are new, that would be really great. So this is just thoughts of important things to put into a board manual. And I know
Another option is having it in the board drive electronically so that we save on printing costs. Having a few available in the office if someone wants to check one out and peruse a paper, or we can obviously make a copy for someone if they prefer a paper copy. But having it electronically is also
I love that idea. I just don't think about doing that. So yes, maybe, we could have it, and then we can change it as needed and add things to it.
update.
Yeah, so have tabs for each of the different things, maybe on an electronic version. So if we could just work towards that, I know it's still new and our board is still putting together the daily kind of working board members, but I would have liked more information like that when I first came in also. And so I'm wondering if we could start the process of that, Carol, as a school. All right, that's all I wanted to present today. Those things to think about and look towards the future at having for our school. We're reviewing the minutes from the previous meeting. They were sent out. Sarah, did you for the 24th?
Yes, they were sent out. If we have any public comments too, I don't know if Janet, I don't know if you're a public.
Oh, I'm
here, so I
sorry.
wanted to give you a moment if you wanted it.
Public comments, yes. We do want those. Okay, I don't see any.
Then yes, I did send out an email.
Shannon has a comment though.
Oh, okay.
No?
Sorry, I was trying to get the speaker to come on, and each time I clicked it, it went off.
Oh.
No, I just wanted to just congratulate you on the things that you are doing, and I was part of your CSP interview. I thought you did well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just wanted to shout out the hard work that you're doing, the hard things you're doing, and the progress that you're making, and we wish you the best. So just that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
Okay, so our review for the minutes, if you could review for us, Sarah, a little bit about the 24th. And I think some of us read through them, but maybe we need to review the minutes again.
And pull those up real quickly.
We have added a link in our current minutes to the previous board
That's
meeting
true.
so that they're really easy to access for everybody also. I also put a link in the chat for the agenda for tonight. If anybody wanted that, those of you that joined a little bit later, I can add it again.
Just a very quick overview, in case people didn't get a chance to read them. We had our Steiner study, which was on the biography and practice of becoming human. And then we had our board capacity building, where we went over the board governance framework and that we need to have a board retreat. We need to pick a time for that this time around. We didn't have any public comments, but we approved the minutes for the previous 2 meetings. We had a building update from Clint and our admin report from Carol Gregory, where we talked about our charter amendment application, the CSP grant, and marketing. We also discussed enrollment and some of the issues we're having on that and how we're working through them. We discussed our hiring and how we're doing with that, and that about half of our positions have been hired. We had a report from Marta from our finance committee, and we went over that we are still on budget and we are approved for the revolving loan.
Okay, so could we have a vote? Is there someone who would vote to approve the minutes read by Sarah Archibald?
I propose that we vote to approve the last meeting's minutes.
And do we have someone to second that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, and let's have a vote on approving the last month's minutes. All those in favor, say aye or raise your hand. So let's see, we have. Thank you. I see an icon from Christian. All right, that is, the minutes have been approved. Okay. Let's move forward to new business now. We do need to have a final vote on our retreat for the end of the year in June. this year. We're thinking of doing it from 11 to 4 p.m. on June 6th. What date is that? Let me just look at the.
I think that's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday. Okay.
I'm out of town on June 6th. Sorry.
Okay. Let's see.
I think we did discuss that last time.
Yes, we did. Yes. Okay. Is there any discussion we need to have or can most of us attend? I would still,
Is there
Is
a
it in
date?
person?
Ideally,
ideally we'd like this one in person. But you could zoom in on this call. Like Thesa may want to zoom in on our board, on our meetings. So is there anyone else who has an objection to that date?
Carrie, when do you leave? Is there a day earlier in that week that would be more possible?
So we leave. I'm trying to get my physical calendar because I can't do it on my phone. We leave like that's the end of my trip, so I'm going to be coming home that day. And we leave on the 28th of May.
Okay.
So I will be in the car all day with my kids. I can listen in, but I won't. It will be really hard for you guys to hear me, probably.
Would the next Monday, like early in the next week, work for the rest of the board?
Do you mean on the 13th?
So the 13th is the Saturday, but like, I mean, it's June at that point. So the 8th or the 9th or the 10th on that.
When do we have our UAPCS conference? It looks like I show something there.
On the 10th and
I think
11th.
that's the 10th. Yeah. I actually realized we come home on the 7th instead of the 6th. So I will be really busy with a family reunion on the 6th.
Yeah. Okay, so
Sorry, guys.
yeah,
Lisa has her fingers up for the 8th.
for the 8th on a Monday, we have a finance board meeting that's scheduled for Monday.
We can
Are
always
we
take it in
no,
person though.
Of course, if we meet from 11 to 4, that doesn't cause conflict. I'm all right with Monday.
I'm sorry that you guys have to rearrange for me.
It's
I
not
was able to
rearranging at this
reschedule,
point,
I
it's
would.
discussing a date. Nothing has been finalized yet. That was the only date that was proposed last time. So this is your negotiation time.
Hey, what is this, Carol? I have on the 9th the charter board conference for the founders. What does that mean?
I don't know because I don't have that on my calendar.
And Azure Fields Forum in Layton on the 10th. And that's when the UAPCS conference is, the 10th and 11th. Okay, so
that's the UAPCS conference in Layton on the 10th.
Okay.
I don't know what the other items that you are talking about. We have a cottage meeting here at the school at 6 p.m. on Tuesday at our new building. But
I say, I wrote the note, Charter Board Conference Founders. But I don't know what that meant now. Okay, so
the 8th has been proposed as an option for the board retreat.
Okay.
Is the 8th easier for everyone to have 3 days in a row with a board retreat and then the conference, or is it better to separate them?
If you do it on Monday, the conference is on Wednesday and Thursday. So your board retreat would be on Wednesday. And then
It's the 10th and 11th?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking it was the 9th and 10th.
The 8th works for me.
That works then.
June 8th works for me also. So shall we have a vote about June 8th then, from 11 to 4 p.m.? Okay. So let's have a vote to approve June 8th as our board retreat date. Do I have someone who would be willing to make a motion for that date on the 8th? Thank you, Thesa. And someone who would second that date, June 8th? Okay, thank you, Marta. And so let's have a vote of the board members on Monday, June 8th has been proposed as the board retreat date. Let's have a vote for that. Hands, yes or no, with hands up.
That works for me. I might be a little like on a little exhaustion, but I'll be there.
Let's see, so we have Christian and Carrie, myself, Sarah, Marta, and Thesa. Okay, that's a unanimous, aside from Alicia, we have a unanimous vote for that. For that
Just
outcome.
one moment, real quick. Who was the one who proposed and seconded that? Sarah's looking at flight information for that day.
Oh, the one who proposed was, okay, go ahead.
Didn't Thesa propose it?
Thesa proposed.
And Marta seconded it.
Okay, thank you.
Sarah brings up a good point, though. If Sarah's having to fly in, we may want to consider when a good time for her to fly in is.
That's perfectly fine. They're actually slightly cheaper than the times around it. I'm going to go visit a bunch of friends.
Excellent.
Oh, I would love to have you here, Sarah. That would be great. Okay.
Yay.
All right. So our next place on the agenda is an administrative report from Carol. If we could turn the time over to her now.
Sure. So the CSP grant update is that we did our capacity interview. We all feel really good about it, and we find out next Monday. So we're just waiting on pins and needles until that happens. As far as our building update, we were able to get keys yesterday afternoon for the office and our building here in Provo. So we have the office available from 4:30 in the afternoon once they've cleared the building from their current school hours. And we are scheduling tours on 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays, when people reach out to us for a tour, that we can take them and show them through the site. When they come for a tour, we plan on handing them a calendar for next year and the graduation requirements, answering their questions about the program and helping them get a picture for what we're doing. We also have a grand opening planned and community outreach for a birthday party for Azure Fields on May 2nd. And that'll be here at the Provo building in the back of the parking lot from 10 to noon. And we're pulling in our partners. We've got some community partners that can talk about kind of some of their program offerings, as well as our initial teachers that we're talking to for our initial faculty to come and meet the families as well as those that are interested in enrolling. So we're trying to get the word out to the community that we're here. I am ordering banners to be printed that demonstrate that say Future Home of Azure Fields Charter High School. We have T-shirts that our faculty people will be, our office people will all have a T-shirt with our logo for that event. Let's see. There were some other state updates in one of the meetings I was recently in. There is a new Senate Bill 186 from this past legislative session that our charter board members must take an oath of office, like the school districts do. And so I'll be giving more information to the board in the next couple of weeks as we dive into what that looks like and what those requirements mean. So just put on your radar at the board retreat, we can address the oath of office. And there was also a piece of legislation around firearms and school safety and having a person designated on campus if we don't have a resource officer. if faculty members want to have a concealed carry, that they can do that privately. And I don't need notice of that, but it has to be completely concealed at all times. So there's some more information on that. I don't know if Shannon knows any more about that than I do, but those are some things that we're all trying to figure out. How do we stay compliant with the law? We have sent out initial offer letters to 3 of our initial core teachers for next year, and they have responded positively. So we're working on background checks and checking licensure. So we have a social studies teacher, a special education teacher, and a PE and facilities manager teacher that we have sent initial offers to. We're getting these initial people together on April 25th to kind of see how they work together as a faculty, and talking about next steps and how we're going to build. We had a lot fewer science and mathematics teachers apply, and English teachers also took a while to get some good applicants in the pool. So we're doing some final interviews for science and English this week. We have a math teacher that we feel confident moving forward with. I just haven't sent his offer letter yet. And science is tricky because most science certifications are either life sciences or physics and earth sciences. It's either biology, chemistry, or physics and earth science. We do have an applicant that has some experience in both. While they're not fully certified in physics, they do have quite a bit of physics in their undergraduate and graduate work. So that's what we're looking at as far as that goes. For recommending some specifics, I think that we should be in a closed session for that. Talking about some specifics of personnel for some of the offers that I want to send out. And that would need to be a board action to discuss those specifics.
Okay, do we have someone who could make a motion to approve a closed session to discuss personnel proposals?
I motion to go in.
Then I
Go ahead,
second it.
Sarah.
Go ahead, Carrie.
Thank you,
I'll
Carrie. We'll take
Motion to go
Carrie's
into a
motion,
closed session.
and Sarah seconded the motion. Let's have a vote on that to have a closed session. 2, 3, 4. Marta, are you there? Let's see.
My hand is up.
Thank you, Marta.
Oh, thank you, Shannon.
Give us a reminder that the reason for going in is to discuss personnel issues, and that's the only thing that we can discuss in the closed session that we go to. And then the vote actually goes by name. So Susan, you would go down the list. So the character and competence of an individual would be the reason. Shannon, can I ask a clarifying question?
Go ahead. Sorry,
No,
This
thank
is-
you,
this is-
Shannon.
this is something that could, is a legally binding
Mhm.
thing, so I just wanted to make sure you're getting it right. But what is your question?
So some of the details, if we're discussing the qualifications of a specific person for the position, and then if I ask for an exception to the pay scale, to negotiate, which parts of that would be closed session and which not.
So
Does
you
that
could
make
just,
sense?
yeah, you could discuss does this individual meet the criteria that you need and discuss
Mhm.
that competency. If you're asking for a variance to your published pay scale, that probably should be more of a public discussion.
Okay.
You can discuss it in here
Mm-hmm.
and make sure the board is understanding, but then when you come out, you're going to vote to
Right.
approve a scale, whatever that is, so that it's open and transparent and public. But
Right.
there's nothing about that can't be done in public.
Okay.
if you would choose.
Okay. Great. So
So do I need to try again to propose that with the correct wording?
Yes, okay. Should we?
Thank
Would
you
be
so
clear
much,
and
Shannon.
clear. Yeah.
Thank you so much for helping us learn this. Okay, I propose that we go into a closed session to discuss the character and competence of an individual for hire.
And
Did
do
I
we
get it all?
have someone who could second that motion?
Did Sarah say that she seconded?
Yes.
Okay, Sarah is seconding. So then we'll have a vote of going into a closed session to discuss personnel proposals.
So then, Susan, you'll just go down the list for this one.
Okay,
So you'll say your vote and
and I vote yes. Sarah votes
Yes.
yes. Marta? Yes, we have a yes vote. Christian? We have a yes vote. Carrie?
Yes.
We have a yes vote. Thesa? Yes vote. Okay, and so we have a unanimous vote to go into closed session.
Okay, so let me move the board into a breakout room. Shannon.
Carol, were you wanting us to hear you just then?
Yes.
I'm muted. I was just making sure that everybody made it back.
Who's going to summarize?
I am adding to the
Susan,
minutes.
did you want to summarize that?
I was just going to say
So-
that I added something to the minutes if you'd like me to read that.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Sarah.
The closed session discussed specific individuals and their qualification for a position. Just very.
And an adjustment to the salary schedule.
So now you continue that conversation here.
Okay.
So, I can take that piece. So as executive director, I am proposing that we give an exception to the salary schedule for one of the individuals that we are looking to hire. And he would start his employment. We would count every 2 years of his experience as 1 year instead of every 3 years as 1 year, to start him on step 4 of the salary schedule instead of step 2.
And also there'd be a stipend for him to take on the position of facilities management.
I don't know that the board needs to approve that component. The exception that I'm looking for is just to give him an exception for the salary schedule.
Okay.
I would propose that we vote to give an exception to the salary schedule to count 2 years as 1 year instead of 3.
I second the motion.
Okay, if we could have a full board vote on that motion, raise your hand, please, for aye. So we have myself and Sarah. Marta is an aye vote. Christian is an aye vote. Carrie is an aye vote. And Thesa. That's our unanimous vote.
Thank you. I'll continue working with our new hires. Let me see if there was anything else that I had on my update. I think the other updates to have, I have it down on marketing and outreach after the finance committee report.
Okay, let's move now to our board committee reports. If we could have Marta give us a finance committee report.
And the information that I get via email from Jeff Beisinger is that everything is on budget. We're being paid as forecast. Salaries are being paid. the venue workspace, the building, whatever you call that, is being paid. Everything looks good as far as being on budget. Waiting the news of the CSP grant. Carol, did we get news on our revolving?
Yes, we do have news on the revolving loan. So we got the promissory note, and Susan and I got that signed last Friday, and those funds will be released on May 1st. And so we'll get that into our bank account. And we also are working on a year-end review of the budget for the board retreat, so that we can do the final approval and updates to our budget for our pre-operational year, and prepare budgets for next year for our operations.
Okay, are we ready now to move on to our marketing and outreach report? We'll move to Carol for that marketing and outreach report.
One final note. One final note on the budget review. When you review and approve the budgets in June, we have 30 days from that date of approval to upload that to the state. So, well, that's kind of the process there. Jeff, is there anything that you wanted to add to that piece?
No, I think you guys covered it. I think just the revolving loan's coming at a good time. You know, we've pretty much spent the startup grant at this point, which is what was planned. But the revolving loan funds are coming at a good time. So as long as we get that kind of in the expected timeline, I don't think we'll see a gap in anything. But Carolyn and I talked the other day, if that is delayed a week or so, we may need to kind of hold off on a couple of payments, but nothing too drastic or big. And Carolyn's been great about being upfront with that with everyone too. So, but the revolving loan is coming. So even if it is an issue, it's going to be a 5 issue, like not anything long term.
Okay, so then with the marketing and outreach, our billboard signs, I still get, so one of the applicants that we interviewed today said, I saw your billboard and had to go find out more. So I know that traditionally billboards don't get a lot of hits, but our experience with this has been highly successful in a lot of connections. We are updating those with a call to action of people to come and tour now that we have access in our building to provide those tours. We are also inviting our families to come into the building. Our office hours are 4:45 to 6 p.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for parents to drop in their enrollment documentation. So we have now the keys to the Provo building and are starting those tours and events. We have calendared cottage meetings here at the building as well as online access for each of those events. And they will be once a week from now until June, so that we can build momentum of people know that they can come. The first week will be on a Tuesday, the second week on a Wednesday, the third week on a Tuesday, and then we go back to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And those are clearly calendared, so we can hit whatever evening is free for parents in that. We're building momentum with our enrolled families and are planning an Azure Fields Charter High School birthday party for May 2nd. We have flyers that we will share with the board for you to help distribute and get the word out there to come and celebrate. We will have simple activities like a cornhole or like a horseshoe throw game. We are inviting the yarn store in Provo. There's I don't remember their name, but they're a handwork store here in Provo that we've already been talking with, where we plan on purchasing a lot of our supplies for our handwork program. So we'll be inviting them to come and talk to our families about the resources that they offer. We're also inviting the farm school down in Spanish Fork to come and talk to people, as well as the butcher that reached out to us about farm to table butchering and using 100% of the animal. So just some of our community connections, so families can get a sense of these are the types of opportunities they will have when they enroll at Azure Fields. So we'll also have some small crafts like a macrame keychain or planting a little pot of plants of some wildflowers. So they have something that they can take with them. We're also putting together some swag bags for our first 50 students who enroll. They get a hand-dyed, shibori dye, indigo-dyed bag with a keychain with our logo, a pen, perhaps a little notebook. So we're still putting together what that looks like, but those first 50 families to enroll, when they bring their paperwork to us, we'll get a little bag saying thank you for being part of our founding families. And I think that is it. Oh, so this Thursday, so in 2 days, Braden, our registrar, and I are also making a visit up to Wasatch to set up the articulation agreement of how that's been approved. And so we'll be discussing with them how are we going to work together, which contact person is going to help send interested families and getting information to their parents. So we'll be working with them on Thursday for that. I anticipate 3 to 5 students perhaps this year, up to 10 students a year that might be interested in coming down from Wasatch, just because it is a farther distance.
Okay, do we have any other business we need to take care of tonight that is not on our agenda? If not, I will move to adjourn our meeting tonight. Thank you so much for everyone for coming. Can we have someone vote?
Sarah has maybe something?
Okay.
Where there wasn't a budget amendment at this time, it was just an update that we'll do that in June.
Do
Do I have
Can we
someone make a motion to? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sherry.
did we get an update on how many students we have so far? Is that something we can discuss in
We
here?
have 18
Okay.
students as of today.
And there was a date in June that we have to have 100 by, is that correct?
June 18th.
Okay.
That's the next. Oh, that's the that's the state charter school board meeting in June, and that's when we report to them on our progress to open.
Is there any advice you can give us besides continue to market like crazy? Or have you seen schools with this before? From your perspective, it is getting tight and it's towards the deadline. So what have you seen?
So I know that you've got an articulation agreement that was approved with Waldorf, Wasatch Waldorf.
Yeah.
I don't think it would hurt if you hit the other charter schools in the area and asked them, left a flyer. Would you share this with your parents? Would you be comfortable adding this to your next family newsletter so that those elementary schools that are near you know that you're there, and maybe Treeside, maybe and I must admit, I know you've moved into a new building, but I cannot picture it in my head. So, but I would canvass the rest of the area and any other charter schools, even if it's a different philosophy. Parents might be interested in an option. So take flyers. Invite them to come to your big birthday celebration. Invite those people. I know that you mentioned, I've heard tonight, homeschool families. I'm assuming you've already tapped into that market to make sure you're doing that, which is great.
We were at the BYU.
Yes.
Fits all, Utah Fits All.
I saw that.
We were there. Yeah.
Good. I mean, I wasn't there, but I just saw the advertising or posting of it later. I know that you are further away from Mountain Sunrise Academy, but I don't think it would hurt to stop in there and leave some of your flyers and your information, because there might be families further south that would consider it. And at this point, you have nothing to lose.
Yep.
Other than just reaching out. So I would do that and look at additional schools that might feed into your school. And then you've
I've
done all the
also-
other things.
Right. I've also connected with Tamara Watson, and we've discussed other options for that as well. And
What's that?
She might
Charter
be
school that's near MSA, also Lakeside. Have we done any advertising through them? Okay.
good idea there too. I know that
one of our enrollments was a referral from a John Hancock 8th grade teacher that said, "I think this school will be a good fit for you." So we're getting it out there.
so that's where you're networking, like when you come to the conference and network with people, if they know, then that's great. I know that Tamara was extremely excited when she came back and to tell us about some of the things that are going on. She's an advocate, and if you can utilize her in any way, please do.
I'm reaching out to her again this week. She went out of the country for a bit, so we'll be reaching out again this week.
That's great. So yes, if she's whatever she offers, take her up on it.
Yep.
Because I know that you connected over brunch or breakfast or something, but she was excited about your opportunity. So
So we'll be definitely reconnecting with her. One last thing before Carrie's hand. We are attending Treeside's Mayfair on May 9th.
perfect.
So we'll be talking to the families in that community on May 9th.
That's excellent.
Are we going to be at MSA's Mayfair as well?
I know we've been talking about it. We were at their winter fair and had great connections with the families there. And so I don't know if we were able to find that date yet or not. I know
I
that
have
we looked at
it.
it and talked about it. So
Yeah, I can send you the date.
okay.
Okay. This is an uncomfortable idea for me, but it won't leave my mind. I know that we talked about it, Carol, a little bit, but it was before we had the building. I have just been kind of scheming with a friend to host a mom's night out, just like a dance party.
Great.
And we know that there's like tons of moms that just want to be able to dance in like a safe environment. Would it be crazy for us to host that at the building now that we have it? Because I think that would just be a way to get our name out there.
It could. They have to clear that with their building principal. We're trying to be very respectful that we're just borrowing the space right now. And they've been very gracious to clear out this office for us. They've been pretty open to those kinds of things like the May 2nd event for as long as it doesn't coincide with their school schedule. So I would need to clear that with them. They're generally out of the building by 4:30, by 5 definitely. And so we could look at doing that in the space, and we would just want to be very respectful about making sure everything is really cleaned up and put back in place after such a thing.
Yeah, and we could do that. And all we would need is like a little bit of gym space. And it would be really like low key, but that's something that's shared on more spaces. If we created an event like that, that would be shared on different spaces, but still with moms. So,
Yeah,
something to consider. If you can ask them about that and get back to me, I'm happy to. We're going to do it anyway.
Well,
So
and
might as well do it.
let's help you with your venue. You'll probably need to. I don't know that we would have access to their sound system in the room, so you'd want to bring in your own speakers or whatever. But yeah, come in and look at the building and see what you think.
Okay. A lot of times the sound system is just a plug-in. You know, you just have to have the right plug.
I know from a previous tour that I had with them. I think their stuff is in a separate locked room. That isn't in the main room itself. So
okay. Well, just an idea.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right. So, do we have a motion to vote to adjourn our
Did you
meeting?
want to do your closing verse?
Oh, I sure do. Yes, I do.
Do you want me to read that?
Yes, Carol.
The healthy social life is found when in the mirror of each human soul, the whole community finds its reflection, and when in the community, the virtue of each one is living.
Thank you. So, if we could have a vote now to adjourn our April meeting of the Azure Fields Charter High School, could we have someone make a motion to adjourn this meeting? Thank you, Fisa. Okay. And thank you, Sarah. And then let's have a vote from the members. If you could raise your hand to say aye.
My hand is up, the room is dark.
I see it, Marta. Okay, just a minute, I need to get my voting chart here. So that is a vote by Susan McDonald, Sarah Archibald, yes, and Marta, yes, Christian, yes, Carrie Shippers, yes, and Thesa Kalinikos. Thank you all for your attention and for coming to the meeting tonight. Appreciate you all and have a good evening.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.